And with Adam Sand's help and the technology with that is out there, I think we're on our path. Roofle, right? There's a lot of things going out there where I think we're on a path. But at this moment, I don't think we're there yet to just be able to consistently sign deals just over the phone. With that being said, all I need is to give me 1 hour with that homeowner, or give me that initial inspection, and then I could pass it off to that inside sales, and I'd be confident that we can close the deal as long as that inside sales is trained just as well as I've been trained.
Hormozy video that I just watched about AI, which is essentially use it for leverage. Use technology for leverage. Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I have Mark Godaire on from Riva Impact and Monarch Roofing. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Yeah, and you can include Monarch Roofing. A lot of people don't. You can include them. I'm still on that payroll.
All right, good. Well, it's almost been a year since we've been working with you guys at Monarch. And so I remember Martin saying like, hey, you can't talk about it for a little while because sometimes people come in and barely do any work for us. And then they like just start using our name too. So I've been trying to be careful about that, but I haven't been perfectly careful. But he said, wait a year. So now it's a year. So
you've been salivating on that one?
Yeah, probably.
There's been a few drips out there. I noticed a few drips out there.
That was my bad. He gave us like a testimonial thing on LinkedIn, and I was like, I put it on stuff, and now I feel
that was awesome. No, it was taken in good, man. It was taken good in because, and again, we appreciate what you do. So we got that 1 year mark, so it's awesome, man.
So we basically want to use Martin's name and you guys, because you guys are very well perceived in even just other roofing companies. Roofing companies often say, like, if there's anybody we want to be like, it's Monarch. So folks look at you guys and they say, this company is doing some things really, really well. And one of those things is inside outside sales. And so we're going to talk about that today and the other parts of the roofing machine system. The topic of inside sales, though, it's super compelling. People want to hear more about it. Like whenever I mention it, because I always like, it's a brainworm. It gets stuck in your head and I want to talk about it. And just even telling people to kind of switch their mindset from like customer service people on the phone. Like, what if you thought about this more of like an inside sales position? How do you get started on that idea in a roofing company? And what's like a little way to start implementing it?
Yeah, man, we talk about a topic that is so talked about and well known. And the best part about it is, man, and I feel so blessed. I feel so happy that I was able to be like basically the starting child of the outside as an outside salesman having the first inside sales role. And really how it came about was I'm a IC personality, right? So I was crushing sales, being an I personality, being an influencer. But the small detailed work, I call them crumbs, like all the small emails, the follow-ups, and keeping track of my leads, going on top of it, going on the CRMs and updating everything, I was the worst at, right? So like Martin was like, man, how can we figure out a way for you to be successful? You're selling, I sold $5.4 million in 2018, and that's with an inside sales. The year before I sold 3. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It was a crazy couple of years. But how the inside sales role came about was I needed an assistant. Technically, it was kind of an assistant, but I needed that assistant to understand roofing because what we'd have is we'd have a lot of questions come in, and this is 2016 range. We'd have a lot of questions come in pertaining to roofing, and unfortunately, like receptionists or assistants, they're not trained as roofers. So what we started to do is we started to train, technically they were receptionists at that time. We started to train them on the roofing side. Right, and how to close deals and how to train them on the production side, train them on the materials that we're using. And what it turned out to be is we found a stud, and her name was Megan. She was my inside sales for many years. Megan started to close deals over the phone once the initial stage of the initial inspection happened, right? Mm-hmm. So what would happen is the call would come in, and Megan was so awesome at taking that incoming call and basically starting a sales process. I know you talked to a ton of sales trainers, a ton of sales coaches. There's got to be a sales process, right? Well, what we found was most roofing companies were taking a sales process and implementing it at the time of the outside salesman getting there, right? We felt that was too late. Grant Cardone, 7 to 12 touches before a deal signed. So we're thinking, Martin, my gosh, the genius, started thinking, man, how can we get 7 to 10 touches before Mark, you go out and meet them, right? How can we do that? Well, we needed somebody on the inside first, of course, they see our truck or they see a billboard that we do or any sort of marketing that we have. That may be a touch or two. But then Martin would implement through our CRM multiple touches by the inside sales, right? So when those touches sent out emails, texts, introductions to me, a video of me, a video of Megan, who just answered the phone. Hey, this is nice to meet you. Here's a little bit of video about me. So wanted to make sure that you know that you can always contact me. It started to transform into a sales role. It was a sales role because I'd get back to the job and say, hey, by the way, remember when you met Jane 2 weeks ago? Hey, she signed the deal. I sent the DocuSign, everything's closed. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, right? Martin's like, wait a minute. Wow, we're onto something, right? So then we started compounding that, and Martin does everything quick. So it's not like we waited around. We started implementing that. We changed the job description. They weren't receptionists anymore. They weren't assistants. They were a inside sales position. We now call them customer success reps. Okay, so that's the CSR name is customer success reps. So that's kind of where it started. I am very passionate about it because I know it works. It was impossible for me to ever sell $5.4 million without that inside sales role. So
you did mention before this, and I want to kind of lead into the next piece here is there's other positions, right? In this roofing machine structure, besides the inside sales rep or the customer service rep, as you guys are saying, which mirrors other industries, right? HVAC and other industries call it that. It doesn't get as much love in roofing sometimes, and that's why I like what you guys are doing there. What are some of the other positions in the roofing machine that people may want to add as they start to build out a little bit more of a specialized roles in their roofing company?
It's a great question, man. And I also think that's not talked about enough. And also, by the way, I don't think the inside sales role gets so glorified in the roofing industry because I think there's too much ego in salesmen in this industry. So what I had to do is I had to let go a little bit of my ego to say that I'm the only one that could close that, Mrs. Smith, and often put on some tasks to her and be comfortable with that. So I think ego is one thing that in the roofing sales owners and salesmen have.
They don't want to give up commission too, maybe. So how does that play out? Like, I guess just a quick follow up for that other question is like, do you have to share?
100%. Yeah. It's a lot less, right? Because we are the ones getting on top of a roof, right? So we are doing obviously a little bit more of a dangerous job. We are doing the face time. I call it major time. There's major time in sales and minor time. The major time is in front of the prospect, Jim Rohn, right? You got to be in front of that prospect. So I was doing the major time, doing the traveling, working the longer hours. So yeah, you still make a higher commission. Again, that's why
they get a percentage thing though.
They get a percentage. Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
Cool.
So they get a percentage of the sales of outside sales. And again, remember we're W-2 model 2. So I took a big hit, man. $5.2 million, I think, with a normal. Well, when I say normal, I'm not sure that the normal 10% commission should be very normal, but it is because I think people just start duplicating it, right? But yeah, I had to take a little bit of a pay cut, but I was okay with that. I said, you know what? I'll take a little bit of a pay cut and have a little bit more sanity, have a little bit more life, if I could obviously pass on some responsibilities to my inside sales, right? And now we're creating a machine, and I knew if I had her, I would just sell more. So really, the pay cut isn't that much because I know I could sell more. So what's it? I do it all myself, and I sell $3 million, and I make 10%, right? What are you making? 300,000, or am I selling $5 million and I'm giving a little bit of that? I'm selling more, so the high commission is now 500,000, but then I'm taking away a little bit of that, giving it to my inside sales. It's a no-brainer. But yeah, other positions of the machine, also something that's not talked about, data administrator. So basically, when you get the contract paperwork in, where does that go before it gets to the production coordinator, which is another role, production coordinator. So one scheduling the jobs, one setting up the calendar, one ordering all the materials so the salesman doesn't have to do that. The data admin would also contact the homeowner to let them know of the delivery date, any updates on the job, right? So we have basically a call person, which also could be inside sales too. But yeah, that's when we're getting into, $42 million. We need more parts of the job, right? Unless the sales.
Let's talk about order to add positions. So if you were a roofing company owner, and let's say you're small, you're 2 million or something, and you're starting to add people and you're trying to figure out which order to add people in, what order would you add some of these roles in? And at what level does the full machine actually make sense financially?
Yeah, and that's a great question, man. The best part about the machine is we adapt it and we basically customize it to the amount sold, right? So it's customizable. the first position I would order or I would get as a owner when you first starting would be inside sales, right? I can take care of the production. I can take care of the ordering. If I just had somebody in that office to help me continue make sales, because I think sales is the number one responsibility of an owner in the company. So I would hire inside sales immediately. Before even an outside salesman. Before I'd hire another outside salesman, I'd hire inside sales, get that going, and then I'd hire inside sales, and then maybe I'd start adding on to the machine. We'd be here for a couple hours if we started talking about the levels of the machine, right? So I think the 2 million, I think we mentioned it a little bit earlier, Tim. I think the $2 million and $3 million companies get left behind a lot, but $2 million and $3 million companies should have an inside sales for sure. They're ready for that, right? A startup, let's build up a little bit, but that.
And you think production coordinator those before having like 3 salespeople?
100%. Yeah. Again,
why do you think some companies don't do that?
Because a lot of them are going to be hiring 1099 salesmen, and there's no downfall, right? So you can just hire.
Yeah. Do you have any beef with 1099 or you don't?
I don't. I just don't think that they could deliver the differentiators. I don't think they can deliver the service that a roofing machine type company could do. Right.
Or if an individual was pretty good at delivering a service, you're not going to keep it consistent across all the reps, because they don't. I mean, technically, they're not really like required to follow the same level of like, if you had systems and processes in your business, it's a little harder to have accountability around those if they're 1099, right? Because they're also required by law, at least. I mean, like, not that everyone follows this, but like to have time freedom, for instance, and like being able to say you need to do this, this, and this as part of our process is kind of a little bit of, it's starting to get into W-2, really.
Yeah, you have no control over them. You can't tell them to show up to meetings, right? We meet 5 days a week. Our sales team meet 5 days a week in the morning, 7:30 every single morning, right? You can't require that with 1099. You can't require them to drive a company truck, right? You really can't. I'm not an owner, so I don't know too much of the rules, but I know that 1099 driving a wrapped truck with your logo on it got a lot of legalities in there. I just think that people think hire salesmen, send them out there and see what goes. But my big issue with that is an outside salesman, whether they're 1099 W-2, can only do so many activities outside, major time, right? 6 to 8 people. How many people can you meet a day? I mean, I've met a lot of people in a day, but that was all in one neighborhood. But 6 to 8 activities where the inside salesperson, man, with a computer and the amount of follow-ups they can do, close to, we've had inside sales do close to 100 sales activities, 100 sales activities, whether that be follow-up, email, sales presentations, sending out DocuSigns, 100 activities a day. So in my opinion, it's a no-brainer. Are they as strong of activities? No, but when you're doing 100 to 6, I'm taking the inside sales all day.
It's time you rethink roofing.
I love it. So you said sometimes people come to you and say, "Hey, I heard about this. I want to close more jobs over the phone," because that's one piece that they heard about. What would you say to that? What do you say to that? Like, because that does sound fun. That does sound cool as a roofing business owner.
Yeah, and Adam Sands would disagree with me on this one. So I hope Adam's listening, because I think he will. But I still think in our industry, there is a need for a personal touch, right? So when I say close a deal over the phone, I mean, and again, we do close deals without meeting, but it's still very low, okay? And with Adam Sands' help and the technology that is out there, I think we're on our path. Roofle, right? There's a lot of things going out there where I think we're on a path. But at this moment, I don't think we're there yet to just be able to consistently sign deals just over the phone. With that being said, all I need is to give me 1 hour with that homeowner, or give me that initial inspection, and then I could pass it off to that inside sales, and I'd be confident that we can close the deal as long as that inside sales is trained just as well as I've been trained, right? And I'm responsible for other training. So that's what my goal is as a sales trainer with Riva and any company that we work with on the inside sales. How can I get that inside sales just as highly trained as that outside sales? That's the only way it works. Only way it works.
Yeah, I just want to diversion for a second around because Adam Sand yesterday was sharing all this stuff about Chat GPT, And
Yeah.
and there's some stuff with like apparently the Google Assistant will literally like make calls for you, and like I listened to it, it's pretty good. And like certain things are like gonna kind of come down kind of quick. And it's
100%.
there's a little bit of fear around certain jobs, right? Like, do certain jobs stay necessary? And I'm just talking about that because it's like happening, I feel like kind of quick. Like just the like proliferation of AI and stuff might happen a little quicker. Where do you have any more thoughts on that particular topic?
I know I think the technology is happening quicker. I want to see how society reacts to it. I really do.
Yes.
And I think it's close, but that's why I do believe that the outside sales role will be eliminated before the inside sales role. So that's why it's so important to have that inside sales role. And that's through technology.
Why is that?
Through technology, right?
Yeah.
I think people will, through Roofle, they can go ahead and get a quote off your website. And what they're going to do, they still want to have some sort of connection through phone, through FaceTime, through Zoom, whatever it may be. So that could be on the inside sales. If you can collect all the data on the through AI, through technology, and you can just have someone on the inside take care of the paperwork or making sure everything comes in normally, I just think that they're going to become more important than the outside sales. I don't think we're there yet. As much as our industry wants that to happen, Tim, I do not think we're there yet. I think we are sometimes. So I do think that smaller companies that are canvassing still have a chance.
I think there's probably like a little bit of fear from like the sales side. I think that, like anybody in a, writing, ChatGPT, crazy. Like, so if the things deal with writing or certain things that like there's fear, but then on the owner side, like you're saying, there's probably like a little, you telling me I don't need to have those 3 people doing that? Like I think that there's like, there's fear and excitement because it's like, yes, that would be cool if this was really all the way there yet. And
I think it's going to be companies like you guys, right? I think it's going to be the marketing companies. I think it's going to be companies that start gathering technology to be able to gather leads and have them go everything automated through website, through somebody over the phone or through a video chat. That's where I think, and that's what scares me about companies that can't, canvas and only canvas. Right? Ones that aren't using marketing companies to be able to start building a brand, start building a business, and looking out for the future rather than just storm chasing and relying on 1099 canvassers and overturning. I think there is going to be a change. I just don't know how close. And you guys are going to be a lot smarter than me on that. I'm still starting to stick to my processes of inside and outside sales, but I think companies like you guys will be the big change in that.
I think that the other thing is that's interesting, thinking about Monarch and stuff like that. An interesting part, though, is brand is kind of always valuable. Brand is always valuable. So, like, as much as, and I know you guys have talked about the story of like going to a new market where the brand wasn't proliferated out there yet, and like seeing the difference of like close rate and seeing certain things. So, like, building your brand, whatever that means to you. Like, some people do it through billboards, some people do it through TV ads, some people do it through Facebook, some people do it through Google and ads and different things. So, whatever that means to you, though, brand stays valuable. You know what I mean? People will purchase things that are related to a brand, and it really does matter. Even if some of these roles, I would say probably would evolve. And as long as you don't have, I think that was the good thing about the Hormozy video that I just watched about AI, which is essentially use it for leverage, use technology for leverage. And brand is always powerful. I think that that's like one of those things that kind of stays.
Yeah, have you watched Dimitri's latest video? Right,
no,
the number one. What he would do in 2023? What he would do? The first thing he would do if he created a roofing company, create a brand.
Yeah,
number one.
Yeah,
and it amazes me. It really does, man. And we work with a lot of companies across the country, and it amazes me. That's like the last thing on a lot of people's minds, and when it's the first thing on our minds, and they think it's so simplistic, but man, there's people that. How we sell so much Riva merchandise, the Monarch merchandise in Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, and Wilmington, our 3 locations. We have people on our website trying to buy merchandise just with our crown on it, with the with the brand. So that's like awesome. Apple, right? I don't know if Apple made a Yeti drink, I'd probably buy the Apple one, right, rather than Yeti. So yeah, brand, but it misses in the industry, and it's gotten a lot better. Don't get me wrong, probably because people like Dimitri and but it's gotten a lot better. But I think that's what Martin did different than most people did since 2007. Is, man, he harped the brand and omnipresent. Everything mattered to him. Man, I don't know if you ever look, but if you you can go to Myrtle Beach, right? Google Myrtle Beach, and you look at like any restaurant in the area. Like if you look at the pictures, you're going to see Martin's truck. He has over 1,000 check-ins with his truck in front of businesses because when he first started, every time he'd go to a gas station, he'd take his picture with Monarch truck and leave a Google review for the gas station. So what happened is now all of a sudden, people start seeing Monarch roofing pictures on every single restaurant, every single gas station. Again, how small is that? It's tiny, but he wanted to be omnipresent. And Martin behind the scenes is one of the best marketers I have ever seen.
I love that. I feel like, sorry, we're doing a lot of name dropping here, but hey, we consume content too. I'm trying to learn from the smartest people, dude. My Facebook is like a mastermind of the smartest people in roofing. I'm listening to, Adam Sand every day, and my buddy Michael Stearns, and Joseph Hughes, and Martin, and all these different people, and you. And there's like an element of I'm gonna soak it up. So Joseph Hughes was talking about how your hustle, your sweat, your time and energy is more. It goes a lot further than your dollar sometimes. And I think for sure a lot of the successful roofing business owners that I know were either, maybe it's not always traditional marketing or like digital. They're not. A lot of them are very humble about all that, but they're doing networking and they're going hard on whatever they're really good at the beginning. Like a lot of people want to skip that step. A lot of people really want to skip that step. They want to hack from 500 to 3 million. And there's less hacks because it's really hard to pay the amount that all these vendors and services cost. That's just the truth. Everybody's expensive because if they actually can create revenue, then they're probably expensive. Like if people that can create real revenue are expensive, that's going to be true. Yep. And everybody that's super cheap usually doesn't create that much revenue. So in the meantime, I just think that's really important. And it's just stuck in my head because I saw that yesterday or something. Time and
and you hit a good point, name dropping, but you listen to the same people, but why not? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you try to understand it? And I think I think there's a lot of haters in the industry that, they do see the same people on social media and all of a sudden they want to put a wall up. But if they maybe just start to listen a little bit, right? I listen to every single one of you guys. Why not? Maybe do I agree or disagree with some of the stuff? Of course, we're all going to have disagreements. We're all not going to have different opinions. It's okay.
Hopefully you do disagree with some of the shit I say because I'm just putting out a lot of content, so I probably say some dumb shit sometimes. One of the things. I read a lot of books too, and podcasts and stuff like that. So I read a lot of books, but I always note a few things I disagreed with in the book. And sometimes it's more than I agreed with. So then I put the book down and I stop reading books a lot too. I probably start a lot more books than I finish, and I stop feeling guilty about that because I realized at a certain point, I'm like, this will not serve me. And another 3 hours wasted on this is actually not going to help my life. And I'm very much into Tim Ferriss's just in time knowledge, not just in case knowledge. I'm not storing up a lot of information about the economic systems that are outside of my control or even world history. I mean, I like listening to my dad because he's super good with wars and stuff like that. And he knows all the dynamics, but I don't soak a lot of this crazy big macro stuff if I can't use it now. And I 100%. Think there's a lot of information out there. That's the thing. We're drowning in information.
I agree. And there's a lot of events, right? And I know that's always talked about in the industry. There's a lot of events and their events are awesome. Yeah. But only take 2 or 3 actionable items after these events. You don't have to go to these events and start filling up notebooks and feel like you got to add everything. I know everybody talks about that, but same thing with books, Tim. I think it's a tough, man. I'm a book reader, but I'm a book studier. Right. So I love when people tell me, I read 30 to 40 books a year. Awesome, man. Can you tell me about those 30 to 40 books? Yeah. I often get I'd rather read 5 and study the shit out of them. Excuse my language. Yeah. No, now I'm the world's greatest roofer. I'm the world's greatest roofer. Sorry, TJ. The world's greatest salesman, which may be the same person. I don't know, TJ. But the world's greatest salesman.
So hardcore that you can't.
OG Mandino. And it's the smallest book, man. And it's like I could read it in a day, but it's actually designed for you to read one chapter for 30 days straight and then move on. So what I do is I read a chapter for 30 days straight. And that's crazy, man, because after I'm on the fourth chapter, but those 4 chapters I could recite. I could literally, and they become subconscious. They become applied knowledge rather than just knowledge, right? So I'm big at studying books rather than just reading books. Same with the roofing machine. I lived the roofing machine for 6 years, but I read that and I studied that book continuously for 3 or 4 times, just because even if I was inundated on it, I still got a few more nuggets after that because I wanted a little bit more from Martin's perspective on maybe some things that we haven't talked about. But yeah, I'm a book studier, applied knowledge, man. That's the power, not just adding a ton of stuff. So
throw out a couple more sales books that you like to study or that you've read more than once.
Study wise, 6 Powers of Influence. Oh my gosh, probably read that book. My gosh,
who's that by?
Let's say Napoleon Hill. That's a book I read for 3 years. 6 Powers of Influence.
I love Napoleon Hill, so that's awesome.
It might be not.
Oh, that one's actually Cialdini. It looks like.
Yeah, Cialdini. Yeah. My gosh, right? Yeah. Consistency, power of giving. We implemented all those powers into Monarch Roofing. It's one thing that me and Mark really did hit that hard. The roofing machine, I got to tag that one in. Right? We got to put that one in. Storybook, right? So I mean, that's
Story Brand.
Yep, killer. I read that. I did that twice. Read that twice. More marketing side, more Martin's alley. But man, you got to read The World's Greatest Salesman, please. If you do anything after this project, pick that book up. It's so short, but it's life too, man. I'm a big personal development guy, a huge personal development guy. So it's not only it's big time sales, but it gives basically the baselines, because I think you don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to personal development. The same principle stands. Sales change. That's why I think there's a lot of old sales training out there still into this industry today. That stuff changes. The principles of sales stay the same. Principles, right? But the strategies and the processes, they change. Look at Adam Sands. He's revolutionizing the companies that we work. He's revolutionizing the sales process, but the principles are the same. And that's what we do. We come and teach the principles, and then we add it to his process. Really.
Did you say, is there anything else you wanted to say about if somebody wanted to close more jobs over the phone? Would you suggest them slow down a little bit and worry about something else? Or is there any other tips that you'd have for folks that wanted that?
Contractors love the catch-all because it makes every single one of their roof builds easier and more profitable. Protective netting wraps facade and landscaping to prevent from left-behind nails and damage. Homeowner referrals bring you more jobs, and insurance supplements bring you more profits. But my favorite part, the branding.
Close deals over the phone?
Yeah.
Well, and again, when I say over the phone, we do, it's crazy, man, the last 3 years, and it's probably archaic, but we use ScreenLeap. You ever heard of ScreenLeap? So what it is basically, and this is how we close deals today. What it is basically, you can type in ScreenLeap and you get a code. And if I give you that code and you go to ScreenLeap and you put that code, you can see my computer, right? It's kind of just like 1, 2, 3, me, right? There's a ton of programs out there.
Yep.
So what we do is we have a lot of success with ScreenLeap. So customers will log into ScreenLeap and they'll see our presentation. So the inside sales are equipped with a presentation. Right. I like to call it a conversation because I don't want to be presenting something, but they will be able to present through ScreenLeap, and they can see their screen, hear them while they're listen to them, and they can see them, whatever it may be. But you don't have to have Zoom. You don't have to have an account.
Gotcha. Okay.
Key, right.
Nice.
I think that's big. A lot of people, we can do it over Zoom. Yeah. But they have to have a Zoom account. And now we're starting to, log into their Zoom, and maybe they don't have a Zoom. Maybe it's an older generation. So ScreenLeap was a big thing for us. But yeah, that would be over the phone's tough, but through ScreenLeap, we've had a lot of success. To this day, a lot of success. We had 3 deals closed yesterday over at Monarch just through ScreenLeap.
That's amazing. I love to hear it. You talked about principles of sales. Like, let's end with a little dessert, if that's okay. What are some principles you think about a lot when it comes to sales?
Form good habits and become their slave. Principle number 1 of the greatest salesman. Form good habits and become their slave. So basically what that means is form good processes, have a good sales process, and follow that process. right? Sales transformation group. I talked to Ryan a lot about it. Ryan will say that, yeah, he's got a sales process, but the reason why companies aren't successful with it is because they don't implement it and they don't follow it. They'll start changing it the way they want it. Same with us, right? So form good habits. That's in life, and of course with your business, but then become your slave, become slave to them, right? You got to follow them no matter what. Here's a good example. We really push and we really believe in sending an Xactimate to an adjuster before an adjustment meeting. So we do all their work for them. We send a Xactimate ESX file, company cam picture report, and then the measurements. We actually give them the measurements, right? But what happens? So one adjuster says, well, I gotta use my own, so I don't need it, right? And our system says the inside sales will send that to the adjuster. Well, if that inside sales says, oh, well, the adjuster doesn't need it, well, I bet you all adjusters don't need it, don't want it, and then they stop that process. Well, what happens is we start getting a watered down process. Yeah, one adjuster that doesn't want your paperwork does not mean all the rest, the next 9 out of 10 don't want it. Right? So follow the process. Maybe that adjuster didn't want it. Maybe they give you a hard time about sending it to you. Who cares? Still continue on with the process. That's just an example, but you got to form good habits and become their slave. And what happens with Monarch is we have a culture and we have a buy-in with all of our positions that we talked about, and they use the same habits every single day and nothing gets altered. It really does.
That's really good.
Hard. It's hard, man. It's really hard.
I'm just relating that to something I think about a lot is like, don't change your process for an outlier. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of outliers and so, like sometimes there'll be a bad customer. There's going to be there's going to be somebody that's mad and on the phone. And then if you don't have confidence in your systems, your processes and your principles, like you're saying, you might switch it up when you really shouldn't switch it up. You're doing a good job. Like not every customer is going to be perfectly pleased all the time. That's okay.
Yeah, you want principles, man? You go Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn. You look up any principle. I'm a Jim Rohn fanatic for the last 15 years. What's never going to change? Work harder on yourself than you do your job. That will never change. That will never change from the end of time. That you will never have an owner that does not want you to work on yourself, become a better person, harder than you work on your job. Because what we teach at Monarch, what we teach at Riva is if you become a better person, you're automatically for sure going to become a better salesman because you're going to have more empathy. You're going to have more love in your heart, right? If you become a better person and work harder, no matter what position you're at. Now that principle will never change, right? That principle will never change.
Give me one more before we sign off here. What's one more principle that you think about a lot when it comes to closing deals?
Accountability. I think when you think kind of closing deals, I think of accountability. Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better, right? Look in the mirror after a deal if you don't close the deal, right? A big one we always, and this is one of our Riva mottos, is start each day with love in your heart. Because if that homeowner feels that you truly care in your hearts of hearts, that's what, my opinion, that's what true rapport is. That homeowner truly feels that you care about them. Trust and rapport are thrown around, Tim. Right? Oh, you got to build trust and rapport. No shit, right? Everybody knows that. But you ask 9 out of 10 roofing salesmen out there, hey, how do you build trust and rapport? What does trust and rapport mean to you? They're going to give you an answer that most likely will not help them build trust and rapport. Well, how can I show a homeowner that I truly care? Do you go in their attic when they even don't have leaks? Oh, well, yeah, I go in the attic sometimes. Well, if you go in the attic every single time, and even when they don't have leaks, and tell Mrs. Smith, hey, Mrs. Smith, I know you don't have any leaks, but the thing about roofs is sometimes it doesn't come through that drywall, and I just want to make sure that I check your attic. I know it's very tight space. I got to make sure that it's good, you're okay before I sleep at night. That homeowner knows that you're there for her care, not just a sale, right? Yeah. And again, there's a million things that we teach really on how to build trust and rapport, but I'm not going to sales training. You told me no sales training. So.
No, that was awesome. No, I really loved it. And also, like, if I'm a homeowner, and honestly, I'm not a roofing company owner, so I just get to play in my mind like how I'd feel because I don't have any I don't have the inside roofing experience. I mean, I guess I'm at a roofing company today. I'm at North Face Construction here in Minneapolis. But if somebody came in my attic and then the other guy didn't come in my attic, I'd be like, this guy knows and this guy doesn't. That's it. That's the way I'd perceive that in my head. It'd be simple as that.
Simple as that. Okay, here's another one. If a roofer came and was wearing cougar paws and they had soft bottoms because they didn't want to affect anything on the roof while they're doing the inspection, just in case there's no damage and they don't need a roof, and then I had another roofer come with pink and purple Nikes that I see across the country all the time, because they don't want to spend $180 on cougar paws. Who am I thinking that cares about my roof or my property more? The guy with the cougar paws that let me know that he's wearing soft bottoms so he doesn't damage any shingles just in case you don't need a roof? Or the guy with pink and purple Nikes that are with no clipboard, with no tool belt, with no vest, with no company hat? These are simple things that are missed all the time. And I know it's very simple. And there'll be people, listeners, but like, yeah, it's obvious. 90%. And I can say that with clarity because I have visited, we went to over 40 states this past year and a half and seen it myself.
Yeah, I do love that whole mindset. Like, it's simple, but you're not doing it. Why are you not doing it if it's so simple? And I think just, active listening here is what I feel is like you guys have a lot of mottos and you kind of drill on them, but it's like, it feels like you guys like, it's part of your identity. I feel like the mottos and stuff that you guys are living. And I feel like if roofing companies have those, whether they're some like this or, you've got your own, if you get them down, then it's just, you've got an operating system that then it's just habit, like you said, and you're slave to those habits. Mottos and stuff like that are part of it, I think, and it helps.
It's ingrained in our heads, man. It's ingrained in our heads, and what it takes discipline to continuously do it every single day. Have you been to the Monarch office yet?
I have not. I'd like to this year, though.
Yeah, man, please come. You're going to see the same things that I talk about posted on the walls everywhere, right? Core values. Another thing that's kind of missed. We got core values is very important, but we go to some companies and we got core values, and it's like a paragraph each. Do you think that salesman or anybody in that company is going to remember that paragraph? They got like 4 or 5 paragraphs, core values. Make it simple. Crown. It's ingrained in my head forever. Consistency, real, own it, winners win, no excuses. There's 5 very key principles that if you follow those things and study them to a T, I know the core values. Right? Let's make it simple. Let's make it for 6th graders that work at roofing companies. We're roofers. I'm not very smart. I got a college degree, but I'm not very smart. So I want to make it simple. And you got to make disciplines, you got to study it, and you got to have a guy like Martin Pettigrew that instills the importance of working on yourself and be better first. And then you can worry about being a better salesman. And
begin every day with love in your heart.
Yeah, man. Gosh.
I dig that one. I like that one a lot. And I do agree. Like, if you really...
It's tough, though, Tim. It's tough. Write that down and then think about it every single day, because then you get to the office and you got that employee that did something like, you're like, oh, you're like, okay, have some love, have some compassion, have some empathy. Hey, what made you do that? Or how can I help you change that behavior, right? And that's kind of what I mean by change, love in your heart. Same thing with detaching from the sale. When I go and visit a homeowner, I don't think about, I'm so ingrained now, I don't think anything about the commission. W-2 helps. I don't think about the commission. I think about, man, you're in my community. I care for you. What can I do to help? If that's not doing anything, awesome. If it is, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure you know that I truly care, and I care about you first and then doing business with you second, because I do care about your business. The reason why I do care about your business, because if you do need a roof, I don't want you going anywhere else, because I know you're not going to get what you deserve, the best. And that's why you go to Monarch Roofing. So,
heck yeah. And I want to just take a second for anyone who's watched this all the way till now or listen and just say thank you. Thank you for watching and listening. If I do get a chance to go out to Monarch this year, which I hope I do, and maybe take a visit, what should I do the video on? What should I ask? What should I comment below, or comment on YouTube if you're listening? And I'll see if I can kind of illuminate more of what they're doing. That's awesome, because obviously you guys are winning a lot and doing some really cool stuff. Thank you for being on, Mark.
I appreciate your time. It's awesome, man. I love your content, man. I keep following you. I hope you do come. I hope we get a chance to kind of sit down and have some lunch and talk. But I appreciate the services with Monarch Roofing that you do for our marketing. And man, anything I can do to help you, please let me know. And I really care about this industry. I think there's a lot of great things. I think there's a lot of things that I can improve on, we can improve on. And by watching you guys, it helps us all. So thank you so much, man.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Check out, it's RivaImpact.com, correct?
Yeah, RivaImpact.com, yep.
And
Instagram, Riva Impact, Facebook, but I think we got a lot of free value even through our website. We do free consultation calls, and usually through those consultation calls, we do a lot of free advice and free things that we would do if we can't help you. So yeah, it's worth a shot. Give us a chance to have a 15-minute call with you.
Awesome. The podcast is put on by hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social. Rate and review, comment, thumbs up the video, stuff like that. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.